let me tell you something.
Your bitch tryna produce, I'm like, oh yes. I put her back in the loop, I'm like, oh yes. Blowing pack in the coupe, I'm like, oh yes. Acting like she a dude, I'm like, oh yes. Oh yes, I'm like, oh yes. Oh yes, I'm like, oh yes. Your bitch tryna produce, I'm like, oh yes. I put her back in the loop, I'm like, oh yes. I put her back in the loop, cause she just a dude. On to the next, looking for a new recruit. Not what I'm looking for, so you get the boot. When I slide through, it's only just for some loot. Man, it's only just for some cash. On every thick and soft bitch that got some ass. Okay, give you a pass cause you got some ass, but I don't fuck with you, bitch, cause I got some class. So hurry up and come grab this. Dirty ass bitch got some bugs in her mattress. Some dumb hoe really thinks she an actress. I'm a MackMona, I need no practice. Your bitch tryna produce, I'm like, oh yes. I put her back in the loop, I'm like, oh yes. Blowing pack in the coupe, I'm like, oh yes. Acting like she a dude, I'm like, oh yes. Oh yes, I'm like, oh yes. Oh yes, I'm like, oh yes. Your bitch tryna produce, I'm like, oh yes. I put her back in the loop, I'm like, oh yes. I put her back in the loop and said go produce. Really need my strips with no excuse. Hella loose and you trippin' thinking I'm a goose. Better go find a trick and put yourself to use. Bitch, now go and do that. I be out here kicking it, no Mortal Kombat. Real top hat, don't ask where your hoe at. Macked on your bitch, called your phone cause I'm on that. Hey, don't speak when a Mac is present. Better serve you the news that isn't pleasant. Now you tryna beg the king, sounding like a peasant. I'm a MackMona and a wise investment. Your bitch tryna produce, I'm like, oh yes. I put her back in the loop, I'm like, oh yes. Blowing pack in the coupe, I'm like, oh yes. Acting like she a dude, I'm like, oh yes. Oh yes, I'm like, oh yes. Oh yes, I'm like, oh yes. Your bitch tryna produce, I'm like, oh yes. I put her back in the loop, I'm like, oh yes.